All right, Tunavites, what's up? What's happening? This is week 9 of the fantasy football season, and we have a special guest, first time on the show this year, Mr. Dwayne
Holla
White.
at your boy. What's up? Tuna Vite Nation. Let me just start by saying I want to thank Reid for the Barnstormer sponsored headset that I'm rocking here. And I'm glad to be here. Glad to be part of the Tuna Buzz podcast. All the times of watching and listening, I never got to be asked. And now that I am asked to be on here as a special guest, I am honored.
Yeah, and then Nathan is back with us this week, and he was brave enough to let Dwayne join us.
Uh, yeah, definitely got had to get Dwayne on the show. Absolutely, without the shadow of a doubt. He needs to be able to speak his mind and defend themselves. We've got to be able to bring these special guests onto the show
Mm.
so that they're aware, and they can have a voice. I just feel like we're always speaking for them. So that's why I wanted advocating for Dwayne to get on the show and speak about his wild card spot. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna secure it, or is
Oh,
John back?
come on. Don't even know.
Oh, I'm coming
I'm
for
not
it. I'm
accepting
coming for
that.
that wild.
Well,
Real quick,
Tunavites,
before we get started, I want to point out that Richard is currently driving. And Richard, I have a question for you. Are you going 156 miles per hour and twice the legal limit of alcohol?
No, I am not
Okay,
Henry Ruggs.
okay. Just making sure you're not pulling a Henry Ruggs over there.
mm. Well, Richard, Richard's in the dark right now, and it's kind of just poetic for what has just happened with Richard this last week, and what was one of the most devastating injuries of all the fantasy season. The king is down, and so we're going to get Richard's reaction to Derrick Henry and that news, and kind of already a strange kind of week with some players and some things going on, and of course our league and all the things that are taking shape. So let's get at it, guys. Let's get going with this week. So why don't we start? And I think we're going to do it this way. Tunavites, we don't have the full video because that's usually courtesy of Richard, who runs the whole. He's the machine that makes this whole thing run, and so I definitely have no clue how to do all that because I'm not tech savvy like Richard, and even Nathan, because Nathan does a lot of really cool videos. So um, let's get back with last week. So let's start with. I want to just get reaction from Dwayne. This would be an opportunity for you to kind of clear the air a little bit because we all picked against you, and you showed up this last week.
Yeah, well, you know what they say. The haters are gonna hate. I'm used to it. Actually, I like it when y'all root and pick against me because then when I win, it just makes it that much sweeter to prove y'all wrong. 5-3. I'm in a tough division. And yeah, I like it when y'all pick against me. So keep doing it, please.
Yeah, well, Dwayne, you right now, you and John Mack. I mean, you're vying for the wild card, at least as of standings today, and that was a huge win. And PC continues to do this like Jekyll and Hyde. Like one week he's on fire and he looks like last year, and the next week he looks like just probably like the teams like us that are lower here, in the standings. And so he's kind of all over the place. And but he's leading his division, so it's interesting to kind of see how things are taking shape. Um, Nathan, what your game last week? You're still undefeated, still going strong.
Hey, no,
Um,
baby. Hey,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Me
So
and Jonathan. It's keep waiting for someone to beat that guy, and nobody's doing it.
Oh,
So
well, that's gonna happen this week.
well,
Believe
we'll,
that.
we'll get to that portion of the show. We're gonna get to that portion of the show. Reid, I can share my screen here, and I can pull up the scores from last week if that's something you'd like me to do.
hey, listen, you know what? By all means, brother. Okay. All I do is like put on this really cool like headset and sometimes a golf hat. That's what I add to the table. Well, while Nathan is pulling up the scores, Nathan mentioned you and Jonathan, and both 8-0. Which this is the first time we've ever had two teams kind of together, still 8-0 at this far in the season, and it is interesting this last week. By all intents purposes, both of you guys would have lost if obviously Donald not taking out Jamal Williams and Michael Carter went off on his bench. And he, of course, never changed that out. And then with Bruce, the Calvin Ridley news, which that was tough. That was like right before the game. And, so he didn't get any points from Ridley, obviously. So he had a tough loss against Jonathan. But, you guys keep going on. So you keep moving on, going strong. And, of course, you guys are putting up, plenty of points every week. So, that's been an interesting, fascinating storyline with this season as you and Jonathan continuing to go undefeated. And then, of course, now the wild card starting to have, kind of take shape with Dwayne and John Mack here as the front runners. There's still hope for others. I mean, they're going to have to do a lot of work because like Dwayne, you and John Mack have really been coming on strong here. And, and then the other division, which actually we thought was going to be the best division, with PC, Bruce, and all them, it looks like the worst division. Now part of that's because Aaron's tanking, but and Donald has just completely collapsed after the first 3 weeks with his team. So, but I mean, PC is in the lead, and Bruce, still has a shot for that division, and so that's been kind of an interesting. How that's kind of been shaping up, for this year. So, what are you guys' thoughts just on where things stand right now and all the divisional standings? Man, you guys are just ready to go.
Well, we've said it before. I've said it before, and not to bash Aaron every single week, but he really would have a lock in that division if he had just stayed the course and not traded, and now listen, Aaron is set up. He's got draft picks. He's got keepers. He's got the mother load. Next year, he has no excuse to ill perform. None.
No pressure.
Yeah. I mean, if he drafts poorly, that's on him, but I think that he's got every opportunity to be good next year, but how do you just stay the course? I mean, you look at this, you look at PC's 4-4, Bruce is 3-5. Donald's 3-5. He's 1-7. I mean, he definitely had some games that were within his reach if he had just, stuck with it. But I digress. That division. I think PC's got a good team, but I mean, I'm not sleeping on Bruce. Bruce has had some really rough games. He's played some guys that have been just ultimately tough to beat. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes actually played to his potential, we would be looking at something completely different, for this week, talking about the scores from last week. Bruce, I mean, only lost by, 9 points?
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to look at that. And so, I mean, that division, that's just – it's so up in the air. That was the division I thought was going to be the best division. I
Right.
truly did. Everybody's teams looked really good. Minus, I said Donald's was kind of top heavy, but everybody else's, I really thought we're going to do well. So, that's my thought for that division. As far as, my division, Dwayne's playing out of his mind. He's been playing well. He's on a, 2-game win streak. Now he's playing the undefeated team in Jonathan this week. That's going to be a good matchup. Daryl has had some surprises, but his team's still 3-5. And Josh, 66 points last week. Oof. Why'd you bench Deontay Johnson? Why? He's been playing well all week. Jacoby Myers? No. That was poor. That was poor management on your part. Not to kick you while you're down, Josh. And then Reid, your division. I mean, Richard's moves have paid off so far. He's 4-4. But John Mack's right there with 5-3. Jonathan's not slowing down unless somebody else can stop him this week. So I'll hang up and I'll listen.
No, I mean, I think that pretty well hits it. I mean, it was, yeah, Bruce, man. Okay, couple things, and we talked about this. Bruce, hardest schedule in the league. I've got the second hardest schedule in the league, and sometimes, just like we always say, you have that with a combination of maybe some guys like.
Closer. You good?
Man, you guys are so loud. We're trying to do a show. What, man? This is what happens when I bring you two in. Sorry, Tuna Bites. That was a little bit.
You asked for
disruption
this. You asked for it.
Did I? Did I ask for this? Anyway,
It was more
so
like we said okay.
yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, we did say okay. But no, I think it's just kind of goes to, sometimes you have tough breaks. Nathan, you mentioned, Patrick Mahomes for Bruce. I mean, that has actually been a story this year that he's not really looked that great. I mean, compared to what we're used to seeing. And so that's definitely factored. Obviously, the Calvin Ridley situation. I mean, he was a keeper and he's been a bust just in general this year. And so, yeah, it's been hard for Bruce between the schedule and just some of his games. That's been really tough. But of course, with PC not really pulling away, I mean he's still got a shot in that division and whatnot. I would like to get, because really we haven't heard from him, but Richard, we talked last week. You made some bunch of moves. Your team was looking much better, and then just Derrick Henry, it just we thought it was just never going to happen, and it finally did. And so how are you feeling today?
I still don't feel good. I've been debating this since yesterday, really, because of the Aaron Rodgers news on top of everything, and Hopkins, with Hopkins being injured, with his quarterback also being injured. It's like all my top guys are injured or out, and I feel like I made pretty good moves to put myself in a position to compete with, no offense to the people that I've been playing, but compete with winning teams. I've been winning against Aaron and Reid. No offense to you guys, but that my wins are from the lower end of the pool rather than the top end of the pool. So
Say it with your chest, Richard.
Shots fired.
Say it with your chest.
Shots fired.
Bottom feeder.
Richard said he's been beating the worst people in the league.
I'm just above the bottom feeders, so it was like I had needed to make moves to put him in that position, to put myself in that position. And so this week is kind of going against Nathan. I've been debating whether or not I just need to pack it in and just start fielding offers to get my draft picks back, or refill my retool my draft for next year, or if I give up Derrick Henry for to be able to get somebody equivalent. That I haven't even tried to figure out how to do this, but try to find somebody to replace Derrick Henry, and somebody willing to take the long shot trade on that. But I haven't gotten that far to figure it out yet.
Yeah.
Well, Richard,
I'm stuck basically.
The way that you, I'm just going to back up here. The way that you put that about, beating me and Aaron, it's kind of like Nathan a couple weeks ago. It's like, yeah, I just didn't really want to lose to Reid. I mean, sorry, but it's like, okay, I get it. I know what the record says. But no, I think, yeah, you are kind of at that place being a 4-4 team, and just trying to figure out, after this. I mean, gosh, Derrick Henry, I mean, that's just a monster loss. And then of course, just trying to figure out where you're at. And I think, that's going to be for some teams. We've got basically like 3 weeks until the deadline. It's the day before Thanksgiving is the trade deadline. So, that's going to be a decision some people are going to have to make. Am I out of it? Do I still have a shot? Do I need to start looking more towards next year? Or like you said, maybe I just need to retool my roster. So I'm looking at my keepers, and sometimes it's not always about draft picks. It's just about, hey, I'll look at maybe trying to improve my keepers for next year, versus this year. And, that's a decision everyone's going to have to make. I do want to just mention since we're talking about this last week still, and I know he does watch. He is a faithful viewer, but Daryl, after beating me the last 2 years, it feels good. It feels good to beat you because you've been a thorn in my side for the last 2 years, and it felt good. Felt good, especially since wins have been few and far between for my squad this year. Just had to get, yeah. I just had to let it out. I did.
And now he's got the other Thayer this week. He's got the big brother.
He does. The old turd.
The old turd.
Let me tell you, talking about turds. When you look at Aaron's record and see it at 1-7 and know that you're the one, you feel like a turd. Okay, that's how I feel. I look at his record and think I'm the one that he's actually beat. But okay, I'm still 5-3, coming for the wild card playoff spot. And really, if Nathan starts losing and I win some more, who knows? I could win the division.
Could happen.
Yeah.
So don't even count that out yet.
It changes quick. I do want to remind everybody, because I feel like it's better to do it early in the show, because I know there are some people that, after 30 minutes, it's like their bedtime with this show. So I do. Yeah, I know. It's like it just kind of hits them, and then anyways, I digress. So with our format, just to kind of reiterate with all the Tunavites, we have changed our playoff format. Obviously, we still have our 4 teams that get in, but this year we've added a consolation bracket. That does not include every single team. The bottom 4, you got in the top 4 of the draft next year. Enjoy your, look forward to next season. I don't think anyone's going to be sad about not playing if you're in the bottom 4. Because if you're like me last year when I was in the bottom 4, man, I was just so glad the season was over. I was tired of looking at my roster and setting it. And but I think
like this year.
Hey, the Barnstormers are coming back strong. Okay, they're going to start getting some respect now. Okay?
Hey, they could have a big second half of the year.
That's listen, that's what I'm going for. Okay,
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying.
I'm
not saying it's not possible. It's possible.
You never know. You never know. They haven't officially eliminated him from the playoffs. I mean, I think I saw this week I have like a 1.3% chance of coming back and making the playoffs. But
there's a chance.
Yeah, right. No, but I think just for people to understand. So, once the season is over, the regular season, those standings that's the top, those bottom 8 teams. Okay, their draft status is not going to change. The only draft status that's going to change is for the playoff team. So if you're in the consolation bracket, even if you go on and you're like whatever the 6th or 5th worst team or whatever, and you go on and win the consolation bracket, it's not going to mess up your draft status. We implemented that just as fantasy footballs. We're here to have fun, and just thought it'd be fun to kind of add that in. A lot of leagues do that, and so. Plus I think it'll be a helpful exercise, a lot of years, if you guys can remember this, where hey, if you miss the playoffs, but then your team's still scoring points, and you're like, man, what if, well, this would be kind of a good, I think helpful exercise just to see hey, I'm actually competing against, somebody else in my league. And, how would I have done, if I would have made the playoffs and, and then having fun with it. And so that'll be something that we'll be adding in this year. So anyways, just kind of remind everybody, but also to remind everybody that, if you make it in, it's not like you gotta, I don't want to mess up my draft status. Cause I know there's certain people like Aaron that are concerned about their draft status. So, just wanted to throw that out there.
I don't know that he'll be in the competition bracket either. So it's possible.
No. I think, when you start a player who doesn't even start or play for his own team every week, I think that pretty much says what Aaron's trying to do, Yeah, I know. So why don't we do this before we get into this next week, and we can talk about the free agent bidding and everything. I just want to get your guys where, I guess, including the playoffs, we're really at the halfway point, including the playoffs of the whole season, maybe a little bit more than that. But but just kind of where you guys, what are some surprises overall you think with this season, where it's at and everything, just in general? It could be whether it's with your team or just, with some other players or teams.
Well, definitely, I would say the division that's PC, Bruce, Aaron, and who else is in that one? Is it Donald?
Mm-hmm.
Looking before the season, it looked like Bruce and PC were going to be, up there near the top. Obviously, one of them's got to win the division, and then the other one would be fighting for the wild card spot. And then Nathan starts making all these trades where it's clearly he's going all in, and it's working because he's undefeated. Jonathan's undefeated. Our division, I'm at 5-3. John Mack's at 5-3. So, like we've been saying, we're kind of right now anyway, looking like we're fighting for the playoff spot. And I think it just goes to show that, anything can happen. Things look good on paper, but once they start playing, and the injuries and, just how fantasy works, injuries and bye weeks come into play, things just can change at any time.
Sure. Nathan?
Well, I think the biggest surprise, not to take what Dwayne said, but it's got to be that division. That was my prediction. I was like, Bruce is going to go all the way with it. And, halfway through the season, it doesn't look like Bruce is going to go, come away with it. Now, that's not to say he can't have a great second half and, maybe the Chiefs figure it out and they just start dominating. Because really it's come down to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has not been himself, and that's really hurt Bruce. He continues to start him, which anyone that owned Patrick Mahomes would do. But, obviously he's getting him 16 points, 15 points, throwing interceptions, hurting him. You almost have to consider maybe starting somebody else. I don't know who else Bruce has, but you almost have to. But I thought Bruce was going to be one of the top teams, and I still believe in him. I still think he's going to do, okay, especially in that division. I don't think that PC really has a stronghold on it because PC's team, like you said, Jekyll and Hyde, this week he's out. Is Devontae Adams playing this week?
Yes.
He's back this week. But, things like that, things that keep hampering his team and hurting him. So that I think that's my biggest surprise. My second would be you and Aaron's record, Reid. And while we've talked about it pretty much every week since we've been doing Tuna Buzz, because you all it's exactly how it's set up next year. You all have some of the highest tier draft picks next season, and you had the most draft picks this season. I think you and Aaron had drafted like 4 players between the two of you, like in the first 2 rounds. And so you guys, had every advantage. But that's the thing, when you go into the draft and you listen to average draft position or you listen to rankings, preseason player rankings, they're not always super reliable. And that's why I do my own system. I don't go by strictly what they're saying about players. I look into the situation because you could look at somebody and you can know like, okay, this guy's not, and we talked about every single year. If you look back at the draft results, almost everybody's draft in the first few rounds, those guys half of them end up being duds. It's the round 4, 5, 6 that you're getting guys that are winning your league. So that's just my take on it. I think it's just, the draft. Yes, it's great to have draft picks. And, obviously I want my draft picks. I've given some away, but I don't think it's all said and done in the draft. I mean, look at Jonathan's team. Cordarrelle Patterson. He's been an all-star for him. And he got him for what, pennies? I don't remember how much he put on him, but that's what I'm talking about. Like he's helping his team succeed because he got him off the waivers, not because he drafted him. And nobody thought Cordarrelle Patterson was going to do anything the rest of his career. Now I'm just hoping Adrian Peterson does the same thing with the Titans.
Adrian Peterson resurrection.
$50 for him, then yeah, you better hope he does
open. Well, that was mainly to stop Jonathan. I'll tell you my tactic. I just didn't want Jonathan to pick him up, and then he ended up being decent. So I knew I had more money than Jonathan, so I just outbid Jonathan, and then Jonathan didn't even put in for him. So
I feel like the Adrian Peterson. I mean, we're going to talk about Fab. I'll save it. I'll just save it for our Fab conversation. But I think Nathan, like you said, with draft picks, I think what Jonathan, the last couple seasons has proved with, basically trading your first and second round draft pick is that yes, it is. it is hard not being in those first 2 rounds. But at the same time, if you have a lot of picks between, rounds 3 and 5, like he's had, he's been able to do well enough with his keepers that he's been right there the last couple of years, just trying to win that championship. So,
Well,
you're right.
it
It's not.
helps. I just want to point out it helps for him to have Ezekiel Elliott and Christian McCaffrey to be able to do that. Because I did the similar thing this year, but I didn't have 2 running backs like that. I had Derrick Henry, who's been awesome, but that's not enough. That wasn't enough to repeat what we drafted the same position on our first picks in the 3rd round. We had the same first pick. We both did quarterback on our first pick of the draft, and we were both in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and it's benefiting me.
So
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Is it benefiting you really?
This last week, no, it's not been.
Yeah.
Well,
I just want to point that out.
No, it's a balance, and I think every team, depending on who your projected keepers are, and and I think talking about, Jonathan and I were talking about this, I think it was last week, and talking about just trading and draft picks, and my approach this year is it's been a little bit different than last year. I probably Aaron is basically where I was at last year, where it was just like, man, I gotta just, of course I didn't start as early as Aaron. It was pretty clear. My season was pretty clear at that point. But, last year it was like, all right, my team was a mess. And I was like, I just got to kind of completely restart. And that's where Aaron's at, and I'm at a different place this year. And so Jonathan and I were talking, last week, about it's great to get draft picks, of course, who doesn't want extra draft picks for next year, but, you also have to balance out who are my keepers going to be, or at least the guys that I'm really feeling good about. Cause you don't want to trade everybody. And then, okay, yeah, you got a lot of draft picks, but if you don't have anybody good to keep, well, like you said, Richard, I mean, Jonathan, he had, he was okay to lose out those draft picks because he had Christian McCaffrey and Ezekiel Elliott. So I think for everybody, you got to kind of balance that out as you're kind of, whether you're looking towards next year or like in Nathan's case, hey, I'm going for it, so this is what I'm comfortable doing. And so that's kind of the strategy part, I think for everybody that kind of plays into it. It's worked both ways for people. Some people have flourished with a bunch of draft picks. Some have been able to do better without draft picks, and it's gone vice versa. Some, like Richard, you said, just it was tough for you this year, with where you were at in the draft. So, and of course, like Dwayne, like you said, there's no guarantees at all. I mean, I've said this before, I loved my draft. I still think I had probably one of the best drafts I've ever had. And I think my process was good, but it just, things have not gone, for various reasons, have not gone my team's way. But I still feel good about the process. And so I think that's kind of where, you kind of have to, as we evaluate, kind of the season, what it is and where it's going, just trying to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? What do I need to work on as far as my roster, for next year in our keeper league? Richard, what are some surprises for you? Just kind of halfway through here.
Surprises.
I'm right back.
Let me think. I'm surprised on how well Tom Brady is doing this year as far as his fantasy value. I feel like every year I laugh when Donald keeps him, but this year it's paid off for him because Tom Brady's been awesome. And then Matthew Stafford was also a surprise on how well he did under a better coaching regime. So that's pretty cool. For the league, surprising. I think I echo what Nathan said. You and Aaron just completely not working out for you guys. It didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense how it didn't work out for you guys. It was just because you guys had great scores. It was the scheduled difficulty that got you, is really at all it was. Because I'm pretty sure if you had my schedule, Reid, you probably would have had more wins. You would have been more contending, so on and so forth. So I think that's probably my biggest surprise is you and Aaron just not not doing as well as you wanted.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's sometimes how it goes. And we didn't really talk about this, a couple of weeks ago when I had played Nathan and lost. But if you guys noticed, when CBS will send you like after your match, they'll say, hey, if you played so and so schedule, this was your record would be. And I think after I saw it when I played Nathan, if I had played Nathan's schedule, I think they said I would have been like 5-1 or something if I had Nathan's schedule. And and sometimes that's just the way it goes. I mean, that's not a complaint or anything. That's just that's just how it goes. And but it is interesting to see that. You're like, gosh, I could be this if my schedule was that. And that's why, like with Nathan or Jonathan or some of those, the top teams, you want to be the best team scoring a lot of points because you're going to have those weeks where people are going to just go off, and you can end up with a bad schedule. So I think go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say,
okay, hold on. you're
what have y'all talking?
So let me ask you something. I've heard of leagues, and I'm just floating an idea I just had in my head, but I've heard of leagues where they've done this, where the top 6 teams of the week will get an additional win. Have you guys ever seen that?
Say that again.
So you would have the head-to-head win for each week, but then all the top scorers of the week would also get a win. Top 6, top 4, whatever you want to be.
I've never heard of that.
It kind of what it does is, like, if you're the second highest scorer and you lose to the first highest scorer, the highest scorer, then you get a loss, right? But you also get a win because you were a top performer. And so it helps those teams that are high performers not, actually, like, it's more, to me, it seems like it could be more reflective of how this team strength really is, and it's less dependent on a schedule as far as who goes to the playoffs and that kind of thing and how it works out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've heard of that, and no, I've actually thought about it because I've seen I understand the concept of trying to get the top best 6 teams, by the end of the season, as far as playoffs and everything. I don't know. It's still kind of weird to me, though. I mean, I understand it because, right, that you don't play defense in fantasy football. It's just whoever scores what. But I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of think about doing that with the way our league is structured, and just, of course, the agonizing losses and stuff. I mean, it kind of takes away a little bit. Like if I'm playing, Dwayne and I are playing, and it's like, oh, I lost by 1 point in a high scoring game, but it's okay because I got another victory. I don't know. There's a part of it where, like, I kind of can see it. Like I could see, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, especially for somebody like me this year. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know. It seems takes a little bit away from some of the other drama in the league. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't like it. If you win, you get a win. That's the only thing. I mean, I understand because I'm in another league where I'm like one of the top 2 scorers, but also the most points against. So every week I'm scoring in the top 2 to 3, but playing the person who scores in the top 1 to 2, and it's frustrating, but that's just part of fantasy football. And when you win, you get a win.
In the scenario, like if you are the highest scorer of the week, you get 2 points. It's not like you're giving a consolation trophy or anything like that to somebody. You're getting 2 wins versus 1.
Yeah. I think ESPN actually has that option. When I've set up leagues in the past, I think there's something on there that says most points scored, like points for, or like something like that. I think, and I've never really understood it, so I was kind of just like, I don't know what that is, because you can change it from like head-to-head win or most points, and that's how you can decide tiebreakers too. Like they'll say like most points for, most points against, whatever. I don't. There's different things you can get into, but I don't dislike the idea. I think that a point system could be beneficial because, like, if you have like 2 teams who are right on the cusp of a wild card, and they've both been like high scoring teams, but they've just had bad luck, yes, that would benefit them, but it just kind of would stink to be one of the top team, or like, for example, where me and Jonathan are, we're dominating everybody every single week. And then 2 teams come along that have had bad luck, but are scoring high. And then the week you play in the playoffs, they just happen to beat you, even though you've got a better record and you've won, more dominantly throughout the, that. I mean, I guess that's the playoffs anyway, right? Anybody that's in the playoffs can do that to any team, any day of the weeks. But I don't know. I would have to look. I would have to do more research, Richard, and look into it a little bit more to kind of see if we could, if that was something we'd entertain. But not necessarily a bad thing. I think expanding and changing things can be good. But I think there's one question. Switching gears real quick. One hot topic, what's one thing in this league that's happened a lot this season? Any guesses? Oh boy.
Yeah. What's
there's been a lot of
trading. Everybody has been trading, except we got a guy right here who's not entertained a trade.
I'm trying to make trades.
When's the last time you've made a trade, Dwayne? Did you do one last year?
Last year, yeah. Me and Richard made a big one for Josh Jacobs, I believe.
Josh Jacobs. Okay, yeah, that's right. You did make a trade last year.
Dwayne and I made a trade.
Well, then I used that draft to get Kenyon Drake, who did nothing for the Cardinals.
Dwayne, you and I traded last year.
What did we trade?
I gave you Chris Carson for your playoff push.
Did you?
Yep.
That's right. I think I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I made it to the semifinals.
Yeah.
So I guess it helped.
It paid off. It paid off. What's been the hesitation from trading this year? Do you just feel solid in where you're at? Feel like you don't need to, or?
I don't want to help other people. So if I make a trade, I want it to either be equal or I'm gonna, get the advantage on it. And right now, I have players that are performing, but there's some weeks that they don't all perform together. Like 1 week it's the running backs that go off. 1 week it's the receivers that go off. If I can get them to, kind of produce at the same time, I feel pretty good about my team.
Well, Dwayne, last week we had an intervention for Richard because he was trading too much. This week, I think you guys should talk, and maybe you guys can find some middle ground that's good for both of you.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll look at it. Me and Richard have had conversations, and we can never agree on stuff. But we've had
true.
Deadlines come.
We've tried.
We've tried. We've definitely tried.
Goodness. Well, hey, you know what?
But I'm not. Historically, I'm not a big trader anyway. I rely on my keepers and my draft and free agents.
That's true.
I get hesitant about trading.
I mean, Dwayne, it took like, I think you and I were talking for like 3 weeks last year before you pulled the trigger, on Chris Carson. And so maybe that means I need to start talking to you now since we have 3 weeks till the trade deadline, Like, hey, Dwayne, let's just start talking, let's work it, let's have a counseling session, what.
I'll look at your team and see what I can come up with.
Well, I think, I don't know if this is not a surprise, but I think something that just kind of looking at the season so far, and I think this is where it is so tough. We always look for like edges. We've talked about, how terrible the tight end position is, and if you have one that actually is worth anything, then you're good for you. That's an advantage. But here's what's tough is that there have been so many running back injuries. We always have running back injuries, but I mean some big names that have just gone down this year. And so it's kind of one of those things where, you can look at it and go, oh, well, I don't want to, invest heavily in running back. But as we all know, usually you need at least one good running back, really good running back to, win a fantasy championship. I mean, rarely. I think there's maybe only been a few years where maybe, somebody was stacked at wide receiver and had a tight end or something and won it all without really running backs. But it's tough because you need them, but I think just kind of thinking through that, how everyone tries to balance their roster and right now in the season, everybody's looking for a running back. And it's like, you have to pay a premium to get a running back because some of you are hurt in season. But then, it's like, I don't know, just interesting because you need them. But then, you can get, if you're one of those teams that just had like all those, if you had loaded at running back and you got a bunch of injuries like Josh or somebody, that just like the running backs got destroyed, then you're like, well, man, my team is not very good. Maybe I shouldn't invest heavily in it. But it's like it's kind of this like catch-22, with running backs in fantasy football of like you need them, but then they get hurt so much, and so like just I don't know, it's just something interesting, seeing that play out this year. Not just with our league, and then just overall.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and that
running back thing. When King Henry goes down and a team is signing Hall of Famer, soon to be Adrian Peterson, I think that speaks for just what's going on with everybody.
he reset the clock doing that too. He can't be a Hall of Famer now for another 5 years.
Yeah.
If we were doing a movie with Adrian Peterson, this would be Adrian Peterson Resurrection.
Well, I mean,
36.
Can
you
I
have a
just
good
say real
point.
quick?
Go ahead.
I am happy you paid $50 to get Derrick Henry, so I can pay $0 for Jeremy McNichols. So
You
I
mean
really
Adrian
hope he-
Peterson?
50 for AP.
That's what I mean, AP.
Well, I mean, I knew you weren't going to go for him, really, and that's what Aaron texted me. He's like, "Dang, what you did to Richard was brutal." I told him, I was like, "It was just strategy. I've got money left in my account. Like, I'm not really using it.
This is how many cash I have. I have 0 fab. There's
I
no
still got
way.
a little bit, but not a whole lot after that. But I just wanted to have something. I just wanted to hey, this is the longest I think I've kept my money out of all the years that we've done this. I think I've usually spent my money by week 3 or 4.
Yeah, I remember you spent like 40-something bucks on Tariq Cohen,
Cooper Kupp. That year they both went off, and then I let Cooper Kupp go because he didn't do anything, and that was a big mistake. But what you're saying about running backs, Reid, just to kind of use an example, in my work league, I went heavy on running backs. I went Eckler, Antonio Gibson, Montgomery, and Melvin Gordon. I'm currently at 4 wins on the season. I got Robert Woods, Tyler Boyd. My wide receivers aren't awesome, but I've picked up a lot off the waiver wire. That being said, Montgomery got hurt. Gibson has been kind of not great.
Disappointing.
Disappointing. Not who we thought he was going to be. Melvin Gordon's been hit or miss. He's picked it up here the last few games, but he's still just been It's really just been Eckler. So it's like I went into the season thinking, man, I am stacked at running back. Like I am stacked. I'm going to be good to go. I'm not going to ever have to worry about who do I have at running back. And it's really just been the opposite. Like I'm trying to trade for a running back right now in that league because I'm like, guys, I need help. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's really just about you have to look at the situation with every running back. And even if you get the right situation like Derrick Henry or, something like that, they can still get hurt.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. I mean, look at Josh Jacobs. I looked at his situation this year and I was like, oh, they just paid all this money for Kenyon Drake. I was like, I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to do well. I even said that, like for Dwayne's team. And he's actually done decent. He's not been like an all-star, but I mean, he's gotten consistently like 15 points, 16 points, which that'll play in fantasy football. Like that's kind of what you're looking for. You want somebody solid and consistent. And he's been that. So it's really just been a weird season for running back.
For sure. That's why I paid so much for what's his face? I can't think of his name at the moment. For the running back from Mitchell.
Well, that was the thing with Mitchell.
First week of the season, it's like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. I just know this is the one I want to go for.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was the thing with Mitchell. Like everybody was talking about, like it wasn't just you; it was all the podcasts were like, "Go get Mitchell now." But it's like they still had 4 other guys. Wilson. They had what?
Jermichael.
Yeah, they had so many other running backs. Trey Sermon. They had like 5 guys on the roster. I'm like, we don't know that Elijah Mitchell's going to be the guy, so I'm not going to spend that money. And I mean, it's other than him being a little bit hurt, here and there, it's really paid off for you, Richard. But it's just that one. Those are the tough situations when you look at a situation. You're like, this is going to be running back by committee, and you're like, should I spend that much money or not? And there it is.
Well, you got to shoot your shot, right? Especially when something like me, where I didn't have running backs. Harris was my second best, and then it was downhill from there. I still had Johnson on my team. I had Connor, who's turning out to be, a nice spot start if I ever need it, or I might need it. But yeah, I mean, it was just I had to pay for running back. I wherever I could find it.
I get it.
I get it.
Well, and then if you go on the other side of just, kind of finishing up this running back conversation, you can go the route of which I guess this is kind of like people that kind of ascribe to like the zero running back kind of thing where you just, you go heavy everywhere else. And, you pick up running backs, let's say, like a PPR league. Oh, hey, I'm going to get those pass catching running backs, which, yeah, some weeks you're like, man, PPR league, like, man, they're like, you feel great. But then, and I'll just give two guys for example. Okay. Name Hines and Kenneth Gainwell. Those guys have had weeks where you're like, man, they're awesome PPR. And then like you get weeks where they have zero and they like kill you. And you're like, ugh. So then it's almost like you have this balance of like, okay, pass catchers are valuable, but then if they're not like in a full-time role, they can just disappear. And then you go with like running backs like Nathan, like with Adrian Peterson, where we know like the dude's not really, I don't think he's going to be catching passes. He's probably just going to be running the ball. And so then you're like, okay, he's running the ball, but then is he going to do enough, if you need to start him that, you feel good in a PPR league. So just different dynamics that is tough and challenging with running backs.
Yep.
So
no doubt.
Yeah, and then you go pick up somebody like Kenny Gainwell, and the Eagles start Boston Scott instead.
Or resurrect Jordan Howard.
I don't understand.
Yeah, John Mack, thanks for your Eagles.
I don't
Good.
understand the Eagles, man. I don't get it.
Well, let's look this week. Let's this week's matchups.
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, can we just go ahead and just congratulate Nathan in beating me this week and just move on?
Don't put that juju on me.
Now let's talk about it.
Let's not
put
bring
that juju on me,
it up
Richard.
anymore.
You're putting that juju on me.
What juju?
Yeah, you're putting that
Bro,
juju.
bro,
Kyler Murray
did
might
you
be
not-
out this week too, so I might be starting my trade. Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I guess we didn't talk about that. A little insurance, Nathan.
A little insurance because Kyler right now has not practiced the past 2 days. He's not even limited, so he might be out this week. So I needed something because Matt Ryan did not look too appealing after Calvin Ridley retired midseason. So, and who else retired midseason? AJ Green on that last play against the Falcons. He announced his retirement right as they snapped the ball. He said, "All right, I'm out."
I heard somebody say his controller lost power.
You lost connection to your controller. I saw that one. Yeah.
Hey Nathan, can you bring up the matchups this week?
Yeah. Let me share this.
Can you click any louder?
Well, my mic is attached to my computer because I don't have my headphones on. So Richard, go eat just kidding.
Hey Nathan, before you start, I think we're all curious, what's the two in your inbox, it's like green. It has two messages there.
Oh man.
Well, that could possibly be.
Let's look that up.
Trades.
Let's bring up those. Let's
That
bring
could be
up
some
those
trades.
two.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. Let's look at that. Bring those up.
That could be my waivers. That could be telling me that I never look at my inbox, so it could just be.
Oh yeah, your trade with Aaron probably.
Yeah, I don't ever check those. Like in the off season, I'll have it'll say 20 in my inbox, and I'm like messaging me.
No, let's look at your emails. Don't
And
be
it's-
Hillary Clinton
and it's
delete it. Let's look at this.
I've got a private server. I feel comfortable. All right, we got it pulled up here.
Private server.
Let's go. Let's just go ahead, Richard. You don't want to talk long about it? That's fine. We'll let Dwayne and Reid look at this and kind of talk about it.
Well, yeah, Richard, Derrick Henry, obviously that's just huge, and any given week, anything can happen, but Nathan is just rolling, in spite of goose egg from his tight ends for the last 2 weeks. It hasn't even mattered. It's almost like
2 weeks
doesn't
in
even
a row, baby.
It's like hey tight ends, why don't you take a break this week? I don't need you. So yeah, I just
back this time.
I see Nathan's got his full crew here. So I mean, other than Kyler, but Wentz is playing, and they're playing the Jets. So yeah, I like Nathan to keep winning.
Yeah, just looking at it, just breaking down position to position. I mean, quarterbacks, you got Wentz against Cousins, Wentz is playing the Jets. You got Cousins against Baltimore. Go with Wentz. Running backs, you got Mitchell and Harris. I just am along with pretty much everybody else. New England running backs, I just don't trust them because you don't know if they're going to get all the carries. You don't know who's going to get the carries. Obviously, you got Kamara and Eckler. PPR league, they both run the ball. They both catch the ball. So, got to go with the running backs for Nathan. Receivers, you got Emmanuel Sanders against Diggs. So which Buffalo receiver is going to do better? In the flex, you got Cooper versus Lamb. Which Cowboys receiver is going to do better? Although CeeDee Lamb now, I guess, is a little banged up. Waller and Andrews, they're about even, two of the, top 5 tight ends. I'm excited for Richard with this Rams defense, adding Von Miller. They could be nasty. And so I'll give more of the position, groups just as a breakdown to Nathan. So I'll go with him.
Richard, how you feel?
Sorry, bud.
I didn't even think about it, but you're right. It's Buffalo wide receivers against each other and Dallas wide receivers against each other. I think that's going to be super interesting. I think running backs, I'm going to have to make a move if I'm going to have any chance at competing at the running back level. I think quarterback is hit or miss on both of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays. I think I have a 10% chance of pulling it out. That's about it.
You have a 30% chance according to CBS Sports. All right.
Well, CBS Sports is very wrong a lot.
You're telling me every week, hey, Reid, you're going to win this week. I lose. It's like the curse.
Michael Pittman might get some playing time too. I don't know. Yeah,
I
have
tell you
to
what,
observe
my
Lamb.
kicker. If my kicker ends up winning it for me, I'll just
kickers
quit.
matter,
I'll just
Richard.
quit.
Kickers
It's
matter.
not fair.
Kickers' lives matter. All right.
I took out Hopkins.
Hey,
that's the only thing. That's the only thing I haven't decided whether I want to put Tony back on the bench and put Hopkins in. But without Kyler, I just don't want to do it.
Speaking of kickers' lives matter, I think they need to say that to the Cleveland Browns after Boswell just absolutely got obliterated last week. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, he did.
Hey, listen, that's like I saw this like meme about it's like how all of us would look like if we got on the football field with NFL players, getting tackled like Boswell.
Yeah.
And now looking at y'all's bench, y'all both Adrian Peterson and McNichols. So if y'all were to play them, it's like, all right,
I'm not touching
which Tennessee running back.
I'm not touching AP against the Rams defense.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing against the Rams defense.
Speaking
Speaking of kickers, have you guys seen the most apropos best kicker name in the NFL? It's Blewett.
Blewett.
I'm like, no, that's not really his name.
There's one that's Anger.
Easy headlines.
All right,
Richard, you would know that. You would know that.
I noticed it. I'm like, of course it would be Blewett. Like
the guy who hates kickers knows that.
Hey, I don't hate kickers. I hate kickers for fantasy. Let's be straight.
Slugfest of the week.
Look at Aaron's turd squad.
The turds.
Taysom Hill, Devonta. Is that Devonta Freeman?
Yeah.
Zach Moss, Jamar Chase, Taysom Sharp,
Tajay.
Whatever. Kyle Pitts, Jamison Crowder, Graham Gano. Oof. Daryl, I'll say if you don't win, that's the shame of the White brothers.
Hey, Daryl, I
don't let me down,
that,
Bubba. He already beat me.
I kind of hope, Daryl, that you don't win just so Aaron can be in agonizing pain of winning since he doesn't want to win.
Sometimes I'm sure it's been talked about, but I'm sure, y'all see it too. Sometimes I think my brother is playing a couple years ago college fantasy football because he's got Waddle, Judy, and Smith. Every time I look at that, I'm just thinking just all Alabama running or wide receivers. So I just look at his team thinking, he's keeps drafting Alabama.
Well, maybe we'll have to ask Daryl, like, hey, what, is this like your secret sauce to your fantasy team?
It's got him a couple weeks. It's got him a couple wins,
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm picking Daryl. I'm picking Daryl.
A few years ago, I think the Camerons went like undefeated against the Thayers. Like I think it's cool that we have these little clans within the fantasy football league, and it would be neat if Aaron went undefeated against both White brothers. But I'm taking Daryl. Daryl should win this.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going with my brother, not just because he's my brother, but when you name your team the Turds, I cannot choose you. I gotta go against you when that's your team name.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
PC and John Mack.
See John Mack.
Big matchup this week. I mean, John Mack, he's been on a win streak here. PC off of a really bad week of scoring for his squad. Man, this one's tough. I mean, John Mack, despite all his running back injuries too, he's been. Of course, he's got Cooper Kupp, has been unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, does PC rebound this week? Like he's kind of been the way he's been going, or does John Mack keep going? I mean, he's projected to win. John Mack is, and then of course the news of Rodgers, so how much of an impact is it going to have on Aaron Jones and Davante Adams? That's going to be, interesting. Although I don't see he doesn't have Davante Adams in, does he?
No.
Oh, maybe he still has him on his practice squad from COVID. PC, he's back.
Yeah, looking at it, I've got to go PC. Mostly if you look at the running back spot, with Davante coming back, but Rodgers being out, Aaron Jones is probably going to get a ton of opportunity. Dalvin Cook, he's always touching the ball. Cooks and Woods. Cooks, he gets tons of targets because Houston, that's about the only receiver that they seem to have. Cooper Kupp versus Woods. There you got two Ram receivers. Kupp's been, the primary target, and obviously he's leading the NFL in yards and touchdowns. If you look at the tight ends, you got to give that to PC. Yeah, I'm going PC this week.
You waiting on me?
Well, you or me, either one.
I'm gonna go with PC. I think this is a get right game for Patrick Mahomes. I think that's gonna show in Travis Kelce. I'm interested to see what Van Jefferson does for PC if he actually plays him. That's an interesting choice for his wide receivers. I can't see whether or not he has other choices, but that was an interesting one. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I'll go PC on this one. And I might be voting for PC a little bit just so that way I can tie John Mack.
Yeah, I'm going to literally go for the opposite of what you guys are saying. I'm going to go with John Mack here. Jalen Hurts versus the Chargers. I think Hurts is going to try and put it on his shoulders again, which may hurt Boston Scott a little bit. But Boston Scott, I don't think he's going to need it because Devontae Booker's been playing good. I don't know if y'all have actually watched any of the Giants games. I watched a couple this year, and Devontae Booker, when he's played, he's actually playing really well. So I kind of like that play there. Dalvin Cook is somebody that they're game planning. You want to give him the offense, but they're playing Baltimore. Baltimore is going to score. They're going to score, especially on Minnesota's defense. So I think it's going to end up being a shootout, and I don't think that Dalvin Cook is going to get as many points that way. Aaron Jones, I do agree with Dwayne. I think Aaron Jones is going to be targeted a ton, and I think that's going to hurt Davante Adams. which I think he'll probably put him in his lineup. But that's just my take. T. Higgins, they're looking for a bounce back game against the Browns. Browns are in turmoil right now. They're not looking good. Thielen's been a magnet for touchdowns again this season, just like last year. Cooper Kupp is unstoppable. He is the best wide receiver in fantasy football. I'm not saying that PC doesn't have a shot. I think PC's got some players that will be good, but I'm just I'm leaning John Mack here.
Nathan, I feel like you solidified PC's win because you went against
Maybe I did. You're welcome, Richard. All right, let's move on to the possible game of the week.
Hey-o.
38% chance of winning, underdog.
I'll take it.
Dwayne, you started trash talking at the beginning. Let's hear it, man.
Well, every dog has its day, and this time it's the underdog's day. Okay. Let me go ahead and just clear the air and make this straightforward. I'm gonna win the game. His team is looking like Superman. I found the kryptonite, and that's called starting both of the Raiders running backs. I'm going Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. And, I found the secret formula to win this week. And there's nothing that Tum Tum can do about it.
Interesting. Who are they
Confident.
playing?
Deebo Samuel's awesome. Sutton's going to have the game of his career. Nick Chubb, Stafford is playing amazing. He's looking like a MVP. The Bills play the Jaguars, so that's an easy 100 points there. Zerling's probably going to kick about 12 to 15 field goals. So, yeah, I like my chances.
All right.
What y'all got to say? Let me hear y'all's take. I hope y'all all bet against me because that tends to help me. So let's hear what y'all got to say.
Yeah, I like Jonathan this week. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Hey.
Honestly, Dwayne, I mean, Swift is out this week, and he's been one of the best running backs this year in fantasy. And of course, Mike Evans is out for the bye this week too. So, and I just like Jonathan this week. So, which probably means you're winning.
Rumors of McCaffrey's back at practice. It's not guaranteed he's going to play, but
he was just there eating snacks on the sideline. He's not practicing, right?
He was on the field.
It would be foolish of me not to pick Jonathan, as crazy of a season as he is having. But crazy is my middle name, and I'm picking Dwayne, the wildebeest White, to win this week. And the reason, y'all listening?
Because he's holding you against his will.
There's a gun under the table. No, I'll be honest. Deebo Samuel's been on fire this year. Okay, they're playing Arizona. Arizona was just chopped alive by Randall Old Man Cobb last week. Okay, Kenyon Drake has been phenomenal for PPR. He's really picked it up in that new Raiders scheme. Now that what's his face is fired.
Kenyon Drake from State Farm.
That's right. I don't think Jonathan is, Cordero Patterson's eventually going to get stopped. New Orleans has got good defense. All right, Devontae Parker. You're playing Devontae Parker? I know it's Houston's defense, but come on, man. It's Devontae Parker.
I was going to say, there's another reason why I'm going to win. He's starting a Jaguars receiver and a Dolphins receiver. That's an easy lock.
If he beats Wayne with a Dolphins receiver and a Jacksonville receiver, it's going to be real funny next week on the show.
Hey, when it's your year,
Hey, this is my time to shine,
Dwayne by 20. It's my prediction.
Wow.
I look at his team and all I see is the Colts. Maybe we'll see what happens with their defense tonight.
Look what happened to the Bengals last week.
That was kind of funny. He had the Bengals playing the Jets, and they doubled down and paid $9 for the Colts. And I saw the Bengals did terrible, and I was like, "Ooh, maybe that wasn't good."
Yeah.
Mike Wright or White.
My cousin.
All right, we moving on.
Let's move on to the next one.
Some good games this week.
Yep.
I pick Reid.
Well, they were good games.
That was some good analysis, Richard. I pick Reid.
Well, you hate it when I do it, so I do it now. I can't really see the screen, so that's why. But
Oh well.
I pick
Is it too small on your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Reid,
Well,
look at you
I'm
taking Justin Tucker from me.
Hey now, kickers, man. Watch out.
I hate when the bye week comes because you got to get rid of them. You can't just hold them.
Well, it just depends, It depends if Donald actually looks at his team and starts a lineup that's actually playing. He's got Julio still in there, who's been out for the past 5 weeks or something. So it depends on if Donald actually pays attention and puts together a team together. I still think whether he does or not, I'm going with Reid. Yeah, I just like his team better. I think top to bottom. But Donald, pay attention to your team. Start people that actually play.
Yeah. I'm making my run, boys. My team's gonna come back to some respect here. Okay.
Reid's finally gonna make some headway, and then he might get that. He might get that wild card spot.
Listen. I'm not quitting. I'm not like tanking. Like my older brother. Okay, and just I'm not putting in scrubs. Okay.
Yep, that's good. That's good.
We're here to have fun. Okay, I already had a miserable season.
You play to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going with Reid this week. Reid.
Make it. What is that? What's that going to be? 4 in a row? 5, 6 in a row? 5 in a row? However many for Donald.
Yeah, if he loses, he started off 3-0.
Yeah, it'd be 6 losses in a row.
Yikes!
Just think, Reid. He started off 3-0, and if you beat him, you guys will have a tied record.
Just gonna keep working my way, 1 week at a time. Week to week game.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. A boy can dream.
Shake up divisions next year.
Oh, good point, Nathan. I was going to mention that next year we're all new divisions.
We do it 2 years, right? It's 2 years, and then pick them up.
Yep. So for those teams that might end up, whoever's going to end up with Aaron, and all his draft picks and.
Yeah, wait. I don't want to shake up divisions. I'm good. I'm real good right now.
Oh, goodness. All right, who we got next here?
We got to get Richard and I's rivalry back, okay? You got to put me in
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Hey, let's bring me and Dwayne back together. We've had those years of rivalry, in our division. So that was fun.
How do you guys set it? Do you do random or are you methodical in it at all?
Richard, there is a very special and secret formula that the Secret Society of Commissioners puts together every time we do it, and very well thought out. Even more so than the NFL schedule. So, many
typical
factors.
Comments from a communist. Communism comments. That's what that is. We'll disclose that with our Secret Society of Commissioners, aka we make decisions and you listen.
Actually, Richard, last time we did it, we actually just did it random. CBS lets you, if you want to, they'll just do a random mix. So we just did it random. Okay. We actually have done it a variety of ways, so we figured it out. But last time was just totally random.
Next year I'll be in the U.S., so I'll get to draft normal time.
Yeah,
man. Richard,
back home.
You know how much burden that's going to take off doing this show. I mean, it just.
Now, if we can just get everybody to show up and draft for their own team so they don't have a stacked team by Reid.
Shots fired. Shots
yes,
fired.
John Mackey's talking about you.
Not that you wouldn't have drafted a great team, John. I'm just, just like look at.
He probably would have drafted more Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm just an advisor, guys. Okay, just an advisor.
How much did he pay you?
Bruce, we do even need to break this game down, Bruce.
Bruce. Like Bruce. I said, I think it's going to be a get right game against the Packers. I think with Aaron Rodgers being out on that game, I just want to comment. I heard this comment from somebody else, and I think it's true. You know who really gets hurt by who loses out the most with Aaron Rodgers being out this week? It's State Farm. State Farm was looking forward to this game. You know they were.
Yep.
Or Stephen A. Smith, because he's a bad man. Stephen A. loves some Aaron Rodgers, although he was hating on his comments about being vaccinated and whatnot. Stephen A. Smith loves Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man.
All I've been hearing since the Bucs loss is that Aaron Rodgers is the real GOAT, not Tom Brady. He gets it done. I've heard this. He gets it done with less all-stars on his team. Tom Brady has to have all-stars. And I said, did anybody even hear the name Edelman or Welker or before Brady? No. Nobody was talking about them in the draft like, oh, this Wes Welker guy is going to be phenomenal in the league. Nobody's talking about the short little white guy. Right? He was made by Tom Brady. And people make that argument. It's like you've had Randall Cobb, you've had Reggie Nelson. Nelson. What's his name?
Jordy Nelson.
Greg
Jennings.
Yeah, he's had like elite Devontae Adams. He's had elite guys all around him. People are like, he gets it done with less. For one game against the Cardinals, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter.
Tom Brady's the GOAT because
it's my quarterback. It's my quarterback.
He switched teams and immediately won a Super Bowl. How do you go away from that?
Right.
Sorry,
I interrupted that. You don't get away from that. All right. Now listen, we got business to attend to real quick, guys. I need to get y'all's fantasy opinion while we're all together. All right. I've just offered a trade in my work league, and I know this isn't like classes between the fantasy football league, but this is pertinent to me. All right. I'm trying to get Josh Jacobs and Michael Pittman, and this guy wants David Montgomery, who's on IR, who's eligible to come back this week, but probably won't, and Ty Johnson, the running back for the Jets. So that would leave me with Antonio Gibson, Eckler, and Melvin Gordon, and then Josh Jacobs. Those would be my running backs. I gained Pittman as a wide receiver.
I think Michael Carter's the running back for the Jets, not Tyson.
No, well, if you look the past 2 weeks, Ty Johnson has gotten like a bunch of PPR looks. He's had like 12 points 2 weeks ago, and then he had like 15 points last week or something like that.
I still think Carter's the better option.
So what you're saying is that's a good trade on my end.
So you get Josh Jacobs and Pittman.
Yes.
You give up Montgomery and Ty Johnson.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'll make that.
Right. That's what I was leaning towards, but I like to consider.
Is it PPR?
Yes, it's PPR. It's like
absolutely
half point PPR.
Trade. Yeah, make that trade.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Who was developed while we were on the show?
Who else was it? It was
breaking news.
What?
Who was the fourth player?
It was 2 for 2. It was Michael Pittman and Jacobs for Montgomery and Ty Johnson. And then I was just listening.
Montgomery's going to be a timeshare.
Yeah, he will. He had the job until he lost it because he got injured. So, and he may not even come back.
Khalil Herbert's definitely going to be part of that going forward.
Yeah, they'd have to. So,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that takes place. I don't think Montgomery will play. They have a bye next week. My guess is he's just going to start practicing, and then they'll give him the bye, and he'll probably come back after the bye week. So, who knows? We'll see. With 2 weeks from now with running backs, with the injuries, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
never know. But I'm going to go solidify that trade.
All right, Reid, it's been an hour and 13 minutes, 14 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, man, I'm just getting started, man. Come on.
I say Bubba stopped watching about 50 minutes ago.
I think we've lost Daryl. We need to wrap it up.
We've lost. All right, guys. Well, Dwayne, it's good to have you. And,
hey, it's good to be here. This has been great.
Yeah, it's been fun, guys, and for sure. Well, man, week 9, guys. So we'll be coming back next week, trading. Whatever trading is going to happen. It's we're getting closer to the deadline here. So, some really great matchups. I can't wait to kind of come back next week and talk about all what happened from this week. And so,
can't believe we're talking about the first loss.
Tum, you're going down.
You might.
We're gonna have 0 undefeated teams at next week.
Ooh.
Richard, if that happens, I'm coming for you. Okay.
It costs
Something
about
went very wrong.
to fly over, so anytime.
All right,
Hey.
Tuna Bites. Oh, go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Nathan, I have those Blantons just sitting here. Are you sure you want to come after me?
Richard, well, never mind. You're good. You're good. All right. So you're telling me you want me to sit CeeDee Lamb and Diggs this week?
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
All right, Tuna Bites. Have a great week. We'll see you
All
next
right,
week.
y'all. Keep it sleazy.
See ya.